Hey first graders, it's time for Zoey and Sassafras, so grab your book if you have it handy. If not, that's okay, you just follow along with me. Now, what I like to do when I am reading a chapter book is I like to go back and think about what I had just read previously. I know that we are starting chapter 11, but let's take a peek at chapter 10 to remember. Zoey is really worried about Marshmallow. So she ran in and talked with her dad, and they decided it's called The Call because she decided she would call her mom. She fed the dragon too many marshmallows, we were thinking. And she needs to get Marshmallow some water and healthy food right away. And I noticed a lot of you mentioned that and you commented. So good for you. Chapter 11 is called What Should Baby Dragons Eat? We're guessing they like marshmallows, but maybe they're not the best for them to eat because it made them sick. So let's find out. Marshmallow was sleeping when I got to the barn. I filled up his water dish and quietly set it near him. What foods would be healthy for a baby dragon? Mom had said that studying normal animals might be related to the magical creatures had helped her before. Like when she had the winged fox that was sick, she read about foxes and birds to figure out what to do. I ran to the bookshelf. My eyes quickly scanned the books. Bingo! I wonder what kind of an animal, a real animal, would be similar to the dragon. What do you think? I grabbed Care and Feeding of Reptiles. That's right. From the second shelf, the chapter on reptile diets had just what I needed. This is what it says in the book. Your pet reptile is either a carnivore, an omnivore, or an herbivore and should be fed accordingly. If your reptile is a carnivore, offer a source of meat. Some carnivorous reptiles prefer animal meat, such as mice or fish. Do you think the dragon likes meat? Other carnivorous reptiles prefer smaller sources of meat, such as earthworms or crickets. If your reptile is an herbivore, offer a plant source, such as leafy greens or vegetables. If your reptile is an omnivore, it will eat some meat foods and some plant foods. There was no time to waste. I needed to figure out whether Marshmallow was a carnivore, an herbivore, or both, an omnivore. As I ran to the house for supplies, I pushed down my worries. I had to believe that this experiment would help. Hang on, baby dragon. How's she gonna figure out if he's a carnivore, an herbivore, or if he's both a plant and meat eater, an omnivore? What do you think? What is she gonna do? Guess what, first graders? We are not stopping today. We are going to read chapter 12 because that was a short one. Chapter 12 is called Carnivore, Omnivore. I darted around the kitchen. I needed some kind of animal meat. I opened the fridge. Yes, I'd forgotten that Dad had gone fishing with his friends a few days before. He always saves a few of the smallest fish as treats for Sassafras. I wonder if Sassafras will like that. I grabbed 2 fish. Hey, Sassafras, can you share one of these with Marshmallow? Sassafras stared at both fish and meowed loudly. He grabbed one, dropped it in his food bowl, and took a bite. That left me with 1 fish. I figured that counted as permission to share it with the baby dragon. I didn't want to see if Sassafras would change his mind. I quickly gathered the other things I needed for the experiment and went straight to the barn with Sassafras at my heels. If Marshmallow ate either the fish or the worms but ignored the plants, he was probably a carnivore. If he ate just the plants, he was probably an herbivore. And if he ate both meat and plants, he was probably an omnivore. She's good at all these experiments, isn't she? I knew I should be writing all of this in my journal, but it would have to wait until later. Little Marshmallow needed me to be quick. He was still lying there, slumped on the ground and barely awake. I didn't think he'd make it over to the plates, so I put them all right in front of him. Sassafras meowed and stared at the fish longingly. I picked him up and petted him. It gave me nervous hands something to do. It gave my nervous hands something to do. I waited. Nothing happened. Little Marshmallow was too weak. I snuggled Sassafras and tried to think. What could I do? Maybe I should put the food right up to his mouth? I dangled some worms in front of him and wiggled them. Want a little taste? Marshmallow took a lick, then laid his head back down. I tried the same thing with each of the other foods. He gave them all one lick, but he didn't eat any of them. I sat on the ground, put my head in my hands. I couldn't even watch anymore. Then I heard a sound. I looked up to see Marshmallow crawling over to the fish. He swallowed the whole thing in one gulp. There he is. Then he tucked his tail under his head and closed his eyes and went to sleep. I crossed my fingers and toes that the fish in the nap would do the trick. It was breaking my heart to see little Marshmallow so sick. Sassafras bumped my chin with his head and purred. He could tell I was super worried about Marshmallow. It was nice of Sassafras to share the fish, wasn't it? I decided to read through the rest of the reptile book, just in case there was something I'd missed. Sassafras curled up in my lap like a warm, rumbling blanket as I read. Boy, I hope that helps. I guess we're going to have to wait till tomorrow. Chapter 13 is called Mom!